As difficult as this budget is, our spending priorities also reflect my belief that the choices we make here will lead to extraordinary opportunities for all Vermonters. To achieve long-term budget discipline, we must be innovative and go where the money is. Healthcare is the largest area of growth in our state budget, and we must bring it under control. As taxpayers, we are the largest source of healthcare payments for our state, and we're paying twice as much in taxes today to keep Vermonters healthy than we were just 1 decade ago. This is yet another reason why it's so important that we pass a single-payer health care plan that Dr. Shao estimates will save Vermont over $500 million in the first year alone. We will work together to pass a bill that takes the first step in putting Vermont on a solid road to single-payer health care, and we must do it before we adjourn this spring. In addition to bringing health care costs under control, I'm committed to replacing the state hospital and treating our most vulnerable citizens with the dignity and the respect that they deserve. To do that, I recommend first that we suspend current plans to build a 15-bed facility that cannot be expanded. Short-term planning will only lead to long-term problems. Second, I have directed my administration to work diligently with our hospitals and the Brattleboro Retreat to finalize plans for partnerships and deliver to me within 6 months both the treatment and financial implications of those partnerships. This summer, my administration will determine whether any of the partnerships are clinically and financially prudent, and that date will represent a deadline for determining the number of beds that could be provided from such partnerships. Third, my budget proposal next January will include a plan to build a state-of-the-art new state hospital to meet Vermont's needs for the next 50 years. We have waited long enough. The second fastest area of growth in the state's budget is corrections. A decade ago, we were spending $71 million annually on our corrections system. Today, we're spending almost $131 million a year, an increase of nearly 100%. On any given day, of the 2,100 prisoners that taxpayers are currently supporting, 180 are in prison because they have no other place to go. 69% of our female inmates and 45% of our male inmates are nonviolent offenders. What do we know about these nonviolent offenders? Many of them have difficulty reading and writing, and most have drug and alcohol-related addictions. When their time is up, a lack of adequate housing, adult basic education, drug and alcohol counseling, mental health services, and job options leave them on Main Street with the same lack of skills and substance abuse challenges that led them into prison in the first place. As a result, half of our nonviolent offenders end up back in prison within 3 years, costing an average of $45,000 per year per inmate. Therefore, we are proposing to move the women inmates from St. Albans to Chittenden Regional and the men to St. Albans to maximize unused bed space and save money. Since roughly 1/3 of our incarcerated women are from Chittenden County, this will help them transition back into their home communities. We will create a child-parent visiting space for those parents and their children. This will not only help mothers bond with their children, it will also help them learn better parenting skills when their time is up and they are reunited with their families. By implementing these reforms, we will save $2 million. At the same time, I'm asking this legislature to join me investing $1 million of those dollars in prevention and alternative justice and community-based programs across Vermont to help keep nonviolent offenders out of jail. My administration will also reallocate an additional $300,000 to unlock the waiting list of methadone treatment right now. These choices represent the first steps in my administration's war on recidivism, and we welcome your help. There is a direct link between our nonviolent offenders and early childhood education. Most primary school teachers can identify which of their students will run into problems later in life. The evidence is irrefutable. The years up to age 5 are a critical time for brain development. It should come as no surprise that $1 spent on early education saves $7 to $16 later on in life. To give all of our children a bright future and bring long-term fiscal discipline to corrections, special education, and human services spending, we must take bold preventative action. Today, I'm calling for expansion of the state's pre-kindergarten programs for ages 3, 4, and 5 by lifting the cap on the number of students counted in pre-K funding. Vermonters will be able to exercise local control and vote to spend money without the heavy hand of Montpelier preventing them from doing so. When we eliminate the cap over time, if half of Vermont's eligible children are enrolled in a pre-K program, and that's an optimistic goal, the cost to the state's education fund would be about $14 million. Let us make Vermont a national leader in early childhood education. We must also invest in workforce development. My budget proposes $4.8 million in fiscal 2012 to assist Vermont workers and employers with high-quality job training. As Vermonters grow older, we must keep more young people in our state in order to have a workforce to train. Ensuring that young Vermonters pursue post-secondary education is critical to our economic future. Vermont students and families have one of the highest education debt loads in the entire nation. I propose a sustainable higher education income tax credit that will enable Vermont students to stay here and work here to reduce their college debt, and we need your help. 2 weeks ago, I launched Connect Vermont, an ambitious plan to deliver broadband and cell service to every corner of Vermont. Vermont cannot succeed in creating jobs or competing in our global economy if we fail. To get this essential project done, in addition to using federal funds and private investment, I propose spending $13 million from our 2-year capital budget and fully utilizing the $40 million revenue bond capacity of the Vermont Telecommunications Authority. These investments will expedite and build out the fiber optic lines and wireless networks across our state, including the most rural areas that, for economic reasons, are least likely to attract private providers. We will also need to address 3 regulatory areas that have the potential to hamper, if not derail, our progress. These are utility pole regulations for fiber and telecommunications attachments, consolidated land use and environmental permits for the placement of poles and long-term telecommunications lease agreements to erect infrastructure on state lands and buildings. It could cost as much as 5 times the cost per mile to string fiber from pole to pole if the regulation for our utility companies and providers are not clarified from the start as we begin this ambitious project. Rapid build-out could be delayed, and millions of dollars could be wasted if we fail to act. Shortly, I will submit legislation to expedite these actions so that we can deliver broadband and cell service to every last mile by 2013.